Greetings and welcome, fellow test subjects. I'm Subject Nix, and this is the Orion Experiment. Today we're going to be experimenting in Valheim. I'm going to start by creating a new character. Male character. Nice long hair. Nice big beard. Make it as white as possible. Done. Oop. Not going to let me reuse the name. That's okay. I can change it just a little. These are my old save files, but I'm going to be starting a new one today. What should we call the world? Seems I can't type today. Long ago, the All-Father Odin united the worlds. He threw down his foes and cast them into the 10th world, then split the boughs that held the prison to the world tree and left it to drift unanchored, a place of exile. For centuries this world slumbered uneasily, but did not die. As glacial ages passed, kingdoms rose and fell, out of sight of the gods. When Odin heard his enemies were growing once again in strength, he looked to Midgard and sent his Valkyries to scour the battlefields for the greatest of their warriors. Dead to the world, they would be born again. In Valheim. Welcome to the world. Carried in by a Valkyrie. Not how they're typically displayed in media these days. Lots of trees. From what I understand, I have a bit of an atypical way about going about meeting and beating the first boss. Let's see. First things first, we need some wood. Welcome to the 10th World Warrior. I'm Huggin. I don't know if Huggin is the right way to say his name, but that's the way I say it because it amuses me. The megaliths surrounding you are the sacrificial stones that represent the Forsaken, which you must slay in order to ascend to Valhalla. Great! Wasn't good enough I was a grand warrior in my last life, now I gotta slay a bunch of Forsaken beasts. A little shrine right here. Chest this time. Mushrooms? No such luck. Off to a great start on this file. So, as if everyone isn't already familiar with how this game works, there's stamina mechanics. The more food you've eaten at any given time, the more stamina you have. Same is true of your health. Stamina is your primary resource to manage. And everything in this game requires stamina, from building a wall to catching a fish. Eee, nice little house. Is there a chest inside? Still proving unlucky on that regard. And early on, skills are nice and fast to level up. Just taking advantage of a couple of saplings to get together some wood. Making my way towards this body of water over here right away. Bodies of water are very valuable in the early game in the meadows, because that's where you get flint. A mushroom. Just gonna eat that right away. Eating food also causes your health to regenerate slowly. It's kind of a big deal. Grabbing what wood and resources I can. Too interested in the neck right now. Stone. Now I can begin crafting my first 3 things. I'm not going to worry about a club, because frankly I find the clubs, the basic club at least, not very useful. Huggins back. Take stock of your inventory. Most items must be crafted. However, due to your recent departure from Midgard, you will have to recall the true shape of objects. Just pick things up and it will all come back to you, I'm sure. My lesser brother, Moonin, tells me one can fashion a stone axe out of wooden stone. Pretty sure I already figured that out on my own. Crazy bird. You're not gonna tell me about this again. Oh, a tasty morsel. You have found a snack. Consume it to improve your health and stamina. Be aware that before long you will be hungry again, so try to always have a couple different meals ready. And that was an alarm letting me know about something. Mainly, that's to warn me that the Roomba's supposed to run right now, but the Roomba is busted, so that is not going to happen. A couple of boars. Well, their meat is useful, not really fine. Fight anyway, huh? Oh, not letting you sneak up behind me either. Alright, here we go. Here's some flint. Stone axe for the time being. It's not going to see a whole lot of use, and I will make a hammer right away, which will see far too much use. So parrying is a vital part of this game, in a semi-Souls-like fashion. However, it seems to use just as much stamina as if you block normally. The only problem is that parrying actually makes a foe vulnerable. You need to get extra hits on them. As your skills improve, you'll deal more damage, and for certain skills, use less stamina. And it's not true of most skills. There's only a couple of skills where you reduce the stamina usage. Alright, this actually seems like a decent spot to build a house. What's up, Huggin? You have crafted a hammer. With this tool you will raise mighty halls and towering fortifications. Start by building a workbench. This will in turn will enable you to construct other things. Yep, great. I was already well aware. I have 4 separate files of this game now, presently. I'm breaking up my time between friends. Yeah, though. We need to start cheesing trees. Not a place to stay after all. Well, that tree very impressively had aspirations to go over top of that birch. Exactly what I want to have happen. I heard a grayling. That's him dealt with. Let's see here. Guess I'll start by breaking you up. one of my absolute favorite mechanics in this game is the log rolling mechanic. Logs are a little bit ridiculously powerful. Now if I strike a birch tree, normally, I get this little notification that says too hard. I'm not supposed to be able to break down birch trees right now. However, if you're stubborn and enjoy a bit of cheese like I do, you can simply roll a log back and forth on a hill into a birch tree. Assuming there's not a rock in your way like there is here, usually you can cause the birch tree to topple, which is exactly what we wanted here. Ouch! So we now have an ideal situation where we have a birch log. That means we can roll this birch log into other trees. This both saves on axe power, if I don't kill myself. Pop these again. But now we can break this birch log down further and further. As you probably just saw, I managed to split it in half. Now I'm going to use it on another birch tree. Stones are going to be in the way, so I'm going to get rid of them. Ooh, a little bit of lag. So the whole point of this is getting hardwood early. You're not supposed to be able to get hardwood until after you have metal tools. However, because of this delightful cheese, you can get hardwood early, which means we can skip directly to the second bow in the game, which has much less drop than the first one. You just have to sit and roll a log a little bit. It's just a little bit time consuming, so I might time-lapse it just to ease the boringness of this, but this also very much saves axe health, excuse me, not pickaxe. It's also damaging to the logs, which is good, because we want these to break. Time. Every time these logs hit something, they're taking equal damage to what they deal. Normally I can get up to 20 damage in a hit, but I don't have too good of angles here. I just slid it down there trying to speed it up. That's what I get for being hasty. There's also this log over here. Probably about the time this tree falls, this log will break up further. Oh, and be stubborn because you've got too much in the water now. Let's see here. Ankle's bad, I can't get any leverage on that. That's a better hit. A little bit better. There's also this log over here that needs dealt with, which can be used for breaking up these other logs, and in the meantime doing a bunch of damage to itself. Oops. Push that aside. We don't want this in the water, it can be troublesome to get back out. Decent amount. And I'm back. Nothing wrong with a little bit of unarmed combat, save my axe. There we go. It's an ideal situation. Any luck, it'll land directly on top. Here we go. Let's clean it out somewhere a little more. It's very interesting and amusing how you can abuse logs this way in this game. Simply pass this log back and forth between this stump and the other log. There we go. And we have more hardwood. And just to show I am actually getting hardwood out of this, or fine wood is the technical term, I suppose. The ideal situation is to have two short birch logs like this together. I need to eat again. So far as I can tell, it's not detrimental to eat when things begin to flash. If you eat different types of food, there can be a little bit of loss, but when you eat the same thing, it seems like the time is just added together. Now that we're down to one birch log, it's more convenient to just chop wood regularly. Let's see, do I want to use... Right up here seems like a fairly decent spot. I'm not going to be able to build very large if I go here, but that's okay for now. A few saplings. I'm going to need a fair bit of wood here. So let's see. On top of this hill, I'm going to experience issues with the land not being very level. Isn't ideal. And looks a little bit better down in this area. I think I will go about here to build. I'll probably start right on top of this rock, because it's going to be the highest point. Ideally, when you're building, you're going to want to level out the ground quite a bit first. Which I don't have enough flint for. So let's gather flint for a moment. Some more stones, these are useful. On our very first playthrough, we ended up collecting a bunch of stones and creating a bunch of axes, only to end up having to throw them away later. Because they were just taking up inventory space. So let's see, I'm just looking for some flint at the moment so I can make a hoe and hopefully level the ground out a fair bit. Here we go. Let's see, need a workbench to make the hoe show up. Come back to these big rocks over here. And I suppose I should kill this boar. Did notice that I had a 1-star boar earlier that I fought. Those are kind of atypical to find one of those this early on. It's kind of a good thing. But what? You are very annoying, my friend. Don't feel like wasting axe use on you. So up here we will build ourselves a little workbench to get started. Then, oh, Huggin. Workbench allows you to craft complex items as well as giving you access to lots of more building pieces to construct with the hammer. Great! The need for a workbench can definitely be a little annoying at times. Worse, you can't even repair your tools if your workbench is exposed to the wild. That's not what I want. Your workbench is exposed to the wild, you can't even repair your tools on it. You have to build a little shack around it. I have something of a preferred style that I go for. Rotate the corners around to a little peak. Then, just because I like to be a little bit fancy with it, come on. Annoyingly uncooperative. Latch where I want you to latch. Oh, I had it for a moment. There it is. Get one of those going. Now, admittedly, to some degree, these couple little bits are a waste of wood at this time. But, to me, seeing that cross at the top helps the workbench to stand out a little more. You don't see structures like that naturally occurring in the world, so it makes the workbench a little more identifiable. And it is now getting dark, and I can now make a hoe, so I'm going to do that right away. I can also make a wooden shield, which I am also going to do right away. To reorganize a little bit, because it can be very important to have the right organization. You get used to having things on certain buttons, it becomes very difficult when they're not there. Huggin's back. You have crafted a hoe! This tool is used for landscaping. You could say it's the perfect complement to the hammer. Use it to clear the ground and manipulate terrain. It is easier to create buildings on level ground. This is very true. You're back! That was quick. When the temperature drops at night, or if you are wet, you will suffer from being cold. This reduces your stamina regeneration. Seeking shelter by an open flame is your best option when this happens. That is very true. If you're going to be somewhere and doing a lot of work and you know you're going to be working through the night, it is often a good thing to build a fire. If you want to check what's going on with you, you can always go here. The little huggin' symbol inside of your inventory will allow you to view your active effects, and this shows you how much health and stamina regen you lose when you are cold. It's even more so when you're in the water. Get yourself wet, and then you have a much worse situation. Because I'm wet, I'm now losing 75% of my health regen and 40% of my stamina regen. This is not a great situation to be fighting in. Fighting during storms at night is, well, good idea if you're suicidal. Let's collect some more wood. I need to make up for what I've spent. And I want to get these trees out of my way anyway. Leveling the ground is a powerful thing, but it only goes so far. I'm not going to be able to flatten off this complete hill right now. But I can collect some wood from the area. Part of how stones are useful is they can allow you to raise the ground. Now I don't have to worry about wasting durability on my axe because I have a work table right nearby. Which means I no longer need to beat those guys to death with my fists. Let's see here. We go around here. There's that rock. So when you right-click with the hoe, you get access to multiple features. There's the level ground, the raised ground, and the pathin. I generally will use the hoe as a rudimentary road building tool. It can be very useful early on and even middle and late game to be able to build yourself roads. I'm struggling with my stamina right now. Let's eat one more time. I'm gonna need more mushrooms. Hopefully fairly soon here I'll be able to get to the point where I can start cooking meat. I'm just going to build up a large flat building space for the moment. Actually, why don't I show another way in which fires can be useful? Get a fire down. The hammer away. Throw some fuel on it. Using the X key, I believe that is the default, you can sit. Sitting is very useful. Begins giving you a resting bonus, which you can see in the top right. And it also allows your health and stamina to regen much more quickly. So if I pull my hoe out and I go back to leveling the ground some more. You can see when I sit, I have greatly increased stamina regen. That was pretty short, but you'll have plenty of opportunities to see it later, particularly when I'm mining. So we'll probably build off of this rock to start. Sure, I need these closer for the moment to begin building. And that will get torn down later. Is here temporarily. Now I get to talk about building, which is my real bread and butter in this game. When it comes to building structures, this blue part, if you see the part that I'm hovering next to, it turns this pale blue color. That indicates that that has direct support of the ground. You want as much direct support of the ground as you can get. Unfortunately right now, the vast majority of this structure is not going to be able to be very tall. Structural integrity is a thing. It's very important to manage how much of your building is actually in contact with the ground. So let's continue building this place up. Now I have my fire there. But that's going to go away for the time being. As you can see, each of these new blocks that I'm placing down is flashing green briefly before changing to an unpleasant orange color. It is telling me, hey, you're getting too far away from ground support. Soon it'll start turning red, and that tells you that you've gone way beyond what you should have. Oh, I'm out of wood, aren't I? I am. At this point, I should probably get a chest down. For getting a situation going like this, where I can hit two things at once. It's just kind of an efficiency preference. Oh, I was certain that was going to be the hit that broke it. I was one short. On higher level characters, it'll take less hits to break these. As you level up, your skills increase. And you can always view your skills by clicking on these series of triangles. You can only see skills that you have knowledge of. So, for example, right now you can't see the sword skill because I don't have knowledge of swords in this game yet. But I will. Just takes time. My woodcutting is only level 12, but unfortunately that is currently my highest skill. That's fine. Do I have enough? I don't think I have enough flint. I think I'd need at least one more. Let's see if I can track down one more flint. Maybe I'm wrong about how much it takes. I should check the workbench first. But I'm going to be silly and not do that. I'm gonna kill that guy though. There is something to be said about when you're planning your base, planning out what kind of storage you're going to have. Certain resources you will find you end up with an overwhelming amount of that require particular management. One of those resources being resin, which made me think of it. What do I lack? Oh, it's 6 flint. I thought it was only 3. That is disappointing. Oh, that's fine. I will run along the beach and collect myself some more flint, because I would much rather have the flint axe than the stone axe. It probably is possible to skip directly to the stone axe, but... skip directly to the flint axe, excuse me. But, in this case, I find it more efficient to make use of what is immediately available. So here's another example of how stamina is used in literally everything in this particular game. Just sneaking forward. Get that stamina drain. And this is one of the few skills that will reduce stamina usage as you get better at it. It's not a bad thing to take advantage of sneaking early on. In particular, to use it to sneak up on these couple of deer over here. Get some early kills on deer, that's very useful later. Allows you to break into new levels of crafting fairly early on. Losing my voice. That's delightful. Of course I would start losing my voice on the day I decide to record my first video. Nope, that's not a chest. I had thought I'd seen one there. Oh, and now it's gonna get delightfully foggy. I love fog in real life. Not so hot on it in this game. That's how I tend to end up getting snuck up on. Another thing, I need to zoom out more. There we go, we have plenty of flint now. I always try and end up living near water whenever I start a new game. I found out in my first file fairly early on that not living near water can be a bit of a detriment. Flint is used in a lot of the early tools and also in arrow making. I won't be experimenting with many of the tools. I have a pretty good idea of what I like and what I'm going to use, so I'll be going straight to my preferences. But if it is your first time playing, I do encourage you, please do go out and explore the weapons. You might find that you like different things than I like. I find the sword to be a much more suitable weapon for you than what I prefer. You may find it ridiculous to skip immediately past the first bow into the second bow, which does involve some risk, admittedly. I heard him, and I don't see him because of the fog. That's okay. He'll find me eventually, or he won't. It's better for him if he doesn't. I don't have enough fine wood yet. That's okay. There's plenty of birch trees around to cheese. But first, let's get a flint axe. And something that I find glorious about this game is once you have a tier of weapon or item, you can just throw your old one away or put it in a box and generally forget about it. There's no real point in holding on to old things. They don't really continue to serve you very well. Didn't land ideally, did you? Oh well, found me after all. I did say it would be better if you didn't. Better for you, anyway. I'll take the resin, huh? Much obliged. Really want you to go that way. That's almost perfect. So I'll probably time-lapse a lot of my tree rolling and building shenanigans. I think time-lapse is a useful and underutilized tool. Ooh, this is starting to not look like a great situation I've got going on with this particular log. Let's get rid of you because you're just being slightly in my way. See if I can rotate you around. Oh, I'm out of stamina. Actually, take advantage of this log to cheese that one. Please don't hit my house. It's barely more than a foundation, and yet it's already my house. I guess it says something to what people can consider home. There we go. Just kind of slide you along there. There we go. Excellent. Perfect. Happy with that result. I can take advantage of you, spin you around this tree. Come on, give her. Get that out of the way. There we go. This is an excellent hill for this. And we continue with cheese and trees. This is a good situation. Continue beating this stump with this log. Use this log on that log. Excellent. That's not the exact result I was hoping for. Oof, that was less than ideal. Great. That's awesome. Oof, bit of lag there. I haven't noticed any lag in this game too much. Wonder if it's from playing and recording at the same time. Don't have the best computer in the world. I have a decent one. There we go. That's another log down. Let's get this guy. I'll be able to get them lined up decently well. There we are. And now we continue the process. Dear. Now we're down to one of these. Not too big of an issue. How much? Excellent. That's plenty. It's just me, that is more than enough. I am disappointed beyond words in you, log. Alright, let's try that again. That was helpful. That's better. Excellent. Ah! That is fine. What has happened is I have run out of weight. That's not what I want. That's what I want. Be fine to stick you there for now. Start the stones, the leather, the meat, the flint, the seeds, the resin, and the trophies. And the feathers. Although the feathers don't really weigh anything. Now then, continue expanding. That is very red. Which means it's time for some supports. Oh. I believe you were quite red as well. You are only orange now from that support I added. Which is fine. Birds. That's not what I wanted to do at all. It's fairly likely that I'll eventually end up tearing this place down and rebuilding it from the ground up. Be too short. That's good enough. That is too short, though. Let's see here. Don't want to cooperate, do you? Interesting. Although that is technically floating above the ground is acknowledging it as touching somehow. Not having it float is going to bother me, so I'm going to see if I can do something. There we go. Call me OCD or whatever, but having floating supports bothers me a little. Let's break you down, because it's time to move you up. For the time being, until I get to the point where I can build a bonfire. This is plenty long. So how many people is it going to annoy that I have floors going different directions here? I bet a lot of people. How many people didn't even notice? Let me know in the comments if you feel like you're gonna be around and willing to let me know. Just curious more than anything. I have a friend who was driving nuts that I had floor tiles going in different directions. Yeah, that looks much better. So I like to make a habit with storage. Use a couple of these. Typically, I'll build a wall on one end. Storage. And then I will build chests all along the ground. I didn't really leave enough space for a chest there, but that's okay. To put trophies relatively close to the door. There are animal bits in here. Rest I will take on to myself for the moment. Most of this first episode is liable to be me building the house. I'll probably time-lapse a lot of this as well. In fact, I'll probably time-lapse placing down and the rest of these chests and harvesting materials. But before that, once I have enough chests down, not allow me to place this. It's very curious. There it is. Thank you. As I continue to expand my storage this way, as well as up, I will continue adding these different floors. That will allow me to continue to expand. Okay, so I've cleaned out about all of the trees that I want to from this area. I don't want to take too much more, otherwise it will start looking kind of barren and empty, and that never looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a second separate world that I'm just going to use to gather some resources. Now I could stay on this world and travel further out to collect more wood and then travel all the way back. That would be how I typically might do it, but for the sake of time and getting things done and progressing in a timely manner, I'd rather just jump over to another world. If people want to see me do the entire process on one world, that's something I can do, but that is something you guys will have to let me know if anyone even decides to watch this. I'm going to dump this stuff off first. Put the hammer away. Put that in there. And I guess I'll throw seeds in here for the moment. Get rid of that. See you on the next world. Alright, and welcome back everyone. I'm going to call it here on the house for now. We have a roof over our heads, cooking space set aside, and a covered bench, as well as a setup for storage that it can continue to expand right up to the roof. Upstairs we have a setup for a bedroom, which currently lacks a bed, and I will take care of that quite promptly. When you're setting something up like this, you want to make sure that your bed is actually near to your campfire. If your bed is too far away from your campfire, you won't be able to actually sleep in it, which is kind of important. Hugging back, a head rest for the weary. Sleep the night away in your bed and awaken feeling refreshed and full of energy. Another improvement to your home would be some chests where you can store items. It is a good practice to always have some spare equipment, if something unfortunate should happen while you are exploring. He doesn't have to finish that sentence. And I think I should probably get some other torches up. That will be the real finishing touch, because while I can see everything fine, I know there have been many complaints about how dark it is from my friends. I will get some of these up, because I am betting that YouTube is probably going to make it really dark in here, which is less than ideal. I always try and mark my doors with torches as well. It's not so necessary in this one, but I'm still gonna do it anyway. Head upstairs, get a couple more down. Here. Get about here. And I think that about does it. I thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the next experiment.